Nityanandam. So I'm really excited this morning because I'm sharing my first astrology video, which is a topic that has really intrigued me over the years. Um, and today specifically, I'm going to start with none other than Mars in Scorpio. But before I get into it, I want to set a context, very important context. I want to say that astrology in itself is not the representation of your ultimate possibility. Your ultimate possibility is living Jivan Mukti in this life, which is basically living enlightenment in the physical body. And when that state space happens in you, you go beyond anything associated with any kind of personality traits, anything like that, because your being is pure consciousness, energy, and when it merges back with the source, you are beyond anything. You are not bound by any trait. That being said, I do believe that astrology has an ability to show you some basic tendencies. The way that the planets were aligned when you were born can give, certain tendencies that can help you navigate, like understand your behavior. So let's talk about a very intense, epic placement, which is Mars in Scorpio. And so basically when I connect to the planet Mars, it's really like going to tell you what kind of a warrior you are in this life. How do you go about getting what you want in life? It's a planet of very high activity. And basically, Scorpio is a sign that just wants to go to the deepest depth that can possibly exist. And it will dedicate its life to finding that core. And Scorpio is such an intense sign. Like there's so much boiling activity that happens in Scorpio. And many times actually it's not expressed like spontaneously, which can lead to many self-destructive behaviors. And Scorpio, because that energy is so much that it has to go somewhere. Energy cannot stay stuck in one place. It has to go somewhere. So if it's not being expressed spontaneously, it's going to go in your internal organs and affect many things in your body and disturb, for example, create some hormonal imbalance and all these things. So basically, Scorpio, the first thing that comes to me when I think of Scorpio, Mars in Scorpio, is that this being has a very provocative side to him. And it's not a provocation to cause any kind of conflict. That's not the motive of the Scorpio. The Mars in Scorpio wants to get to that core. It wants to find that truth. It wants to find what is hidden behind what you are presenting on the outside. What is behind that outer image. And it will do anything. And again, it depends on the level of consciousness, like how aware that being is or not of what they're doing, because when the consciousness level is low, it can lead to very messy situations, a lot of conflicts, being passive aggressive. So that's not desirable. But basically, that the Mars in Scorpio has that ability actually to reach that diamond that is hidden, that nobody knows is there. But that Scorpio, that Mars in Scorpio, is going to find it. And it will go to any length. Basically, when Mars in Scorpio decides something, there is nothing that can stand in his or her way. And the image that comes to me when I think of that placement is like that snake that catches the prey. And when the snake catches the prey, the jaw gets locked. Like that, the jaw cannot be unlocked. And so the snake starts swallowing the prey, like the mouse. And the same thing happens to the being that has Scorpio and Mars in Scorpio, because once it's set on something and it has decided, like the declaration has been made, that being has a very difficult time letting go, and it can go to the point where it becomes very obsessive. Like when the awareness level, consciousness level is low, it can lead to major like obsession and inability to let go. And if something goes wrong, if someone like does something to you, the Mars in Scorpio will just not be able to forgive, and will just go all the way, and it can lead to destruction. So very, very intense. The best thing that can happen to a being that has Mars in Scorpio is to find that source, to find that guide that will show him the path towards elevation of consciousness, because Mars in Scorpio has such tremendous healing abilities. Because it's, first of all, it's able to perceive what is beyond appearances. And once the being receives like the right knowledge that can elevate his frequency, he can have access to a level of depth that is beyond what most people can even imagine. So the best thing that can happen to a Mars in Scorpio being is to be guided, to be given the right knowledge towards enlightenment and towards helping to raise humanity in terms of consciousness. And basically, the topic of death is also very present in this placement. And that being will go through many deaths. And actually, the fascinating part about this being is that sometimes it really takes for that being to reach the lowest low in order for that being to come back, like so much more powerful. It actually gains strength in those moments where he's reaching like the abyss. That builds like such he becomes like so tenacious and just wants to rise back up. And that moment is really where it creates like this field of magnetic energy that just ends up exploding. And I just shared is a natural tendency, but it is not the ultimate way of existing, because what I just described is basically full of emotional up and down, right? But when you enter that space of living enlightenment, then there's no more high and low. You are constantly stable at a high, and you just keep going higher and higher and higher. So there's basically no more of that wave that creates actually a lot of agitation in the being. And guess who has a Mars in Scorpio placement? And I used to have snakes as pets. And basically, yeah, one of the main images that comes to me when I think of Mars in Scorpio is that moment when the snake sheds its skin. And then it just goes about its life, leaving that dead skin behind. And that happens, that is basically, a way to describe that being's life, just shedding skin after skin. Last thing I want to share in this video is that if you've watched other videos with about this placement, you for sure have heard them speak about sexuality and how important that aspect is in that being's life. See, ultimately, what that being is looking for, because it is a very intense sign, black or white, like very extreme. What it wants is actually the ultimate connection, the ultimate union with the divine. But as long as it doesn't have the right knowledge, it thinks that it will find that ultimate union through sexuality, through union with another being. I'm not saying it's not possible, but I'm saying that the knowledge that we have, especially in the West, is not going to, it's just going to end up leaving you very disappointed. And basically, I'm not going to go into that topic too much because my guru, Paramahamsa Nityananda, is about to reveal some groundbreaking knowledge based on the Vedic tradition next December. He's going to reveal what is written in the authentic scriptures about Tantra. And so the whole idea of Tantra and sexuality is going to be presented to us in its most authentic way. So I'm waiting for that knowledge to be revealed in order to share it with you. So hopefully you enjoyed this video, and I'm sure I haven't covered everything that can be covered, but that is what came up spontaneously today. So thank you for watching. Nityanandam.